Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song is a greater story.
Deeper Than Music Radio. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and also check us out now on the Nias Media Roku channel. Today we have a very special guest. One of the last memories, and we were just talking about one of the last memories before this pandemic. Me, my partner, Gary Devon, and also my girlfriend, we went to the Suwong's Oscar Gala. Prior to that, I met this awesome guy, Jimmy Starr, Ron Russell, and also the special guest that we have right now. When we went to the Oscar Gala, I immediately saw Eileen, and she took care of us, and her personality and just everything about this woman just speaks rock star. So ladies and gentlemen, we have queen, rock star, celebrity journalist, and she published numerous books, Miss Eileen Shapiro, here on Deeper Than Music. Eileen, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing as good as I can. You know, right now we're living a crazy history right now, and I'll be glad when this is all behind me. But before, like I said, before all of this went crazy, we were actually at Suwong's Oscar Gala, and I just wanted to thank you, Ron, and Jimmy. That was the first time I ever got to go to an Oscar Gala and interview so many celebrities. I was nervous as hell, but you guys couldn't tell.
You would have never known. You were great. You were great. You were everyone's favorite, for sure.
Oh, thank you. So you have the book Waiting for Adam, and like you've been in over 40 publications, book writer. You've known celebrities from Diane Ross, Whoopi Goldberg, Leanne Rimes, Brooke Shields. Like, how did this all start? Like, did you know that you wanted to be a journalist? And just...
Not at all. Not even close. What happened was, I used to own a bar. It was a gay bar on Long Island.
Oh, okay.
And magazines would come in and ask, of course, to get an ad or whatever, to get an ad or to be, put on the bar or whatever. So I started to write for one. I started to write for one called PM Magazine, and then he stopped doing it like in the middle of it all. And then Get Out Magazine, Mike Todd from Get Out Magazine came with his magazine. Okay. And I was supposed to have some guests, some really cool guests from RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay.
And instead of taking out an ad, I said, why don't you let me interview one? And he said, all right, go ahead. The rest is history. I started to write for that magazine, and then I started to write for Huffington Post, and then I started to write for Louder Than War, and so forth and so forth. And now I write for about 57 of them.
Wow.
So, and everyone in life wants to be in a gay magazine. They all want to be recognized by the gay community, because the gay community, they're pretty loyal. So everyone wanted to be in that magazine. Diana Ross and Leanne Rimes and Jennifer Hudson, and just so many people. But in the meantime, in my own head, I wanted an interview with Adam Ant, and I figured the more celebrities that I interviewed, the better chance I would get of interviewing Adam Ant, and that's really what I wanted.
Yeah.
So it took me 6 years, but I did it.
Wow.
So that's how it started.
Adam Ant is like a big celebrity, and I guess you had to like work your way down the hierarchy to.
I did.
Wow.
I interviewed anyone that I could, just to keep in mind that eventually one day I'd be able to interview Adam, and then like he was I had 3 on my bucket list. 3. One was Rick Springfield, and he came to me for an interview. I did an interview of Cyndi Lauper, and he saw it and he was impressed. And his PR people, his team came to me and said, can you interview Rick Springfield? And I said, uh-huh. And then the next one was Adam Ant, and I finally, after 6 years, got him. And the next one, who I did not get yet, is Billy Idol. So if anyone listening knows Billy Idol, here I am.
Oh yeah, Billy Idol, big. Adam Ant big '80s guys like Billy. I imagine his whole. I wonder if he's like he is in the videos, like
I met him. I met him many times, and he is. He's totally like that, and he's really nice. And I just never got an interview. Seen him, spoke to him, kissed him. Never got an interview.
Wow. And I imagine being in New York, you've seen a lot. At any given time with like all these big names, Boy George, Diana Ross, Brooke Shields, have you ever had like a fangirl moment where you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm actually
I'm a fangirl. Especially with like Boy George, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm a fangirl. Anyone that I meet, I become a fangirl instantly. Just for a few minutes, then I get over it. But I was a fan of Adam's for like 30 years or whatever, however long. So when I met him, I was really a fangirl. So yeah. Yep. Even when I speak to them on the phone for the first 5 minutes, I'm a fangirl. But then you know what? Everyone's just a person, and you kind of get over it. But it's still, anyone I interview, it's still exciting. I don't care who it is. It's still, there's some, they're people, and they all have stories, and they're all cool in their own ways, and it's all, it's exciting. It's exciting to interview people, anybody, even if they're not super famous, just anybody.
Have you ever had? I know that there's celebrities, some that you hear of that are very difficult. Have you ever had any? Because I mean, you have so many publications, you've interviewed so many celebrities. Has there ever been like a difficult, like, how am I going to get through this, or can you give me a break type of? Have you ever?
No, I have never had that problem with celebrities. I've had it with some indie artists, but one indie artist actually, but I've never had a problem with the celebrity. So, sometimes their answers weren't great. I interview someone like Dionne Warwick a couple of times, and she's not big on the word, so you have to really talk to her. Some are harder than others. Some just never shut up, and you don't know what to do. Hours, I couldn't get her off the phone, but she was great. I never, you're writing about them, and they realize that. So they're usually kind of nice to you because you are the press.
Yeah.
I've never ever had a problem with. I've had problem getting interviews or setting up the interviews, but I've never had a problem interviewing anyone. They've all been great.
And that's interesting you say that, because I remember before we went to the Oscar Gala, they had the sheet and it was like so many celebrities. I'm like, how am I going to remember these people? And then how are we going to, we were kind of at the end of the red carpet, and I was like, nobody is going to come to us. And then next thing you know, we had a line waiting, and I was like, oh,
you had a line there.
Yeah.
Line there, but I set you up that way because I know that happens. They get crowded on the main part of the red carpet, but as they leave, they still want that publicity, and there you are. So it's perfect.
No, that was brilliant. And it mentions that you've been to many continents. Your journey as being a journalist, what places have you been to that are like out of the norm?
Well, nothing out of the norm. I mean, the thing is, I followed Adam to England, Ireland and France and stuff like that, and all over England, actually. I know England really well. And Canada, that's another kind of continent. Is Canada a continent? Yes. So I followed him to Canada. I followed him pretty much all over the country, except LA. And he was supposed to do a concert in LA before this mess. So I had tickets to go there, but now every concert in life is postponed till 2021, which is so sad.
Yeah, this is crazy. So was this the waiting on Adam? Was this just were you a mega fan of Adam, and this is something that like you've always wanted to, prior to even being a journalist, wanting to meet Adam Ant?
I was a mega fan, still am, of Adam since oh my God, since before I had kids. So yeah, I used to see him a lot when he came to America, and then all of a sudden he disappeared for 17 years, and then there he was again after 17 years, and I renewed my fandomship, And it's kind of like a dream. Like, it was surreal. I met him before I interviewed him. I met him several times before I actually interviewed him, which was kind of cool also. But when you interview someone, it's kind of intimate. Like, you're speaking one-on-one. There's nobody there to ask a question or to, like, get in your way. And it's just like a one-on-one thing. So I wanted to interview. I mean, I met him, I don't know, 4 or 5 times before I interviewed him. And then I met him after I interviewed him. And it's just that interview that you can pretty much ask what you want.
Yeah.
And you want to make everyone happy, and you want to promote what they're promoting and stuff like that. But you still have that one-on-one kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think it's brilliant how you, like, okay, I'm going to interview these people to get to them and get to the hierarchy. Did you already know that was the pathway or the method of the madness to go?
No. No, I was just hoping it was like a dream, like a pipe dream. But I figured he doesn't really love press, and I knew that about him. And I figured the more established I got, the more people I interviewed, the better chance I had. But I didn't know it for sure. I didn't.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got the interview, I was nervous. Are you ever, Mark, are you ever really nervous when you interview someone?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool feeling. It's kind of like going on stage in front of 1 million people, but it's, but different.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like an intimate setting, so it's just you and the person you're interviewing. So it's like, oh, I gotta be cool. I don't want to make them awkward because then they'll feel uncomfortable. So how was it? So it was just basically the buildup of your portfolio. That way, when you talk to his PR team, like, oh, okay, she's interviewed this and that person, or
pretty much. By the time I interviewed him, I had a huge resume. I mean, Diana Ross was like big. She was big time, and to get her, that was like, oh my God, big. And I had Brooke Shields. She's pretty big. I had so many people. I had Spandau Ballet, who was pretty big.
Okay. I know this much is true. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that was a big deal to me too. And every step I got, everyone I interviewed, I thought in my mind brought me one step closer to Adam, to interviewing him, and it was worth it. It was so worth the interview. He's great. He was great. He stayed on the phone. I was told that if he liked the interview, he would. I had 30 minutes, which is long for an interview, especially a written interview. So I had 30 minutes, which I said, all right. And I was told if he likes your questions, he won't cut you off. But if he doesn't, he's going to cut you off early. And then I was told if he really likes your questions, he'll talk longer. And he wound up talking for almost an hour. So that was cool. Matter of fact, I cut him off because I had no more questions. I didn't know what to say.
Wow. And so in your vast history of being a celebrity journalist, what would you say has been like the most challenging aspect of your career?
You know what? I can't really say I had many challenges. I always kind of got to interview whom I wanted to. I never had, I had a couple of scheduling issues, but I'm not gonna say I ever had a challenge. Okay, here's a challenge. Writing them up after. Every time someone talks for 20 minutes, the rule of thumb is it takes you 4 hours to transpose it onto computer or whatever. So, I mean, if that's a challenge, considered a challenge, then yeah, that was a challenge. Diana Ross was a little bit of a challenge because she only had like 1-word answers. Oh. But I haven't really had that many challenges, so I'm lucky.
How was Cyndi Lauper's another one. I think of Captain Lou Albino. Girls just want to have fun and just energy. Was she like just? I just imagine her being all the energy.
I interviewed her 12 times.
Wow.
So she kept coming back for more. She was cool.
She's a native New Yorker, so
she is. and she goes to a lot of events in New York, and sometimes she just winds up there. So yeah, she's always a great interview, and she's always very giving. You know, she likes to be interviewed, and she's busy though. She's really busy.
Yeah, even now. And then Annie Lennox, Eurythmics. I mean, me growing up,
great.
Annie Lennox, there was always an air of mystery of the music videos, and I bet she was a pretty interesting interviewee as well.
Funny story about Annie Lennox. I interviewed her on the way to meeting Billy Idol in the car. They changed the time on me. So what happened was I had my friend Colin in the car, and when it came time to interview her, we were in the city. It was noisy. It was hot because it was summer. I made him park the car. I closed all the windows. So they only gave me 10 minutes with her, but that was, believe me, that was enough. she was very. She wasn't not difficult. She wanted to talk about what she wanted to talk about, and she answered a couple of other questions. She had put out an album, and she answered a couple of other questions. But the thing was, I was in a race to get to see Billy Idol, so between interviewing her and going to see Billy Idol, it was crazy. It was just a crazy mix. But I'll never forget that interview. She was very nice. They were all, every single one of them. There was not one horrible one in the bunch. Not at all. Most of the time you did an interview with someone, it's because they want it.
Yeah.
Oh, they're probably going to be nice. And I used to prepare questions. I don't do that anymore. I just kind of have a conversation.
Yeah.
But once in a while, if I'm really nervous, if it's somebody really high profile, I might prepare one or two just so I'm not nervous, but I don't actually get to use them. It's more psychological on my part.
And then your previous publication, so I take it you're a Trekkie. You like Star Trek, or?
I do. That was when I was 16 years old, that was my very first interview with Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock.
Wow.
I was 16. I loved Star Trek. I met a guy that owned a store then called the Federation Trading Post. Mm-hmm. And he was already writing for something called the Giant Star Trek poster book. He found out I could write, so I started writing that. And then Valentine and Paramount came to me because I was a nursing student, and they said, do you want to write a medical book? So I wound up writing the Star Trek Medical Reference Manual licensed by Paramount.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know, 16 or 17 when I did that. So that was kind of cool.
And I imagine, was Leonard Nimoy, was he tall? He looks tall. Maybe it's just...
He's tall, really tall. Really
yeah.
tall. And he chain smoked one cigarette after the other. Really nice. I got to meet his parents. I was a fangirl for Leonard Nimoy, totally. And I got to meet his parents in Boston, and then he did a show, a Broadway play, Equus. And I got to meet him there. And then I got to meet him a whole bunch of other times because we used to do the conventions. The store, the Federation Trading Post, used to go to all the conventions. And I used to do the trivia quiz. So that was kind of cool. Trekkies love trivia quizzes. So I used to go up on the stage and just ask the questions. And it was fun. But yes, I was a big Star Trek fan. Still am. Still love Star Trek.
Star Trek is huge. I mean, it's like so many different iterations, and then so many stars have been like Leonard Nimoy, Captain Kirk, even what was it? Whoopi Goldberg was in. I forget. It was like the 80s. I forget which one it was. That wasn't Generations, but I'm
not familiar with that one, but probably.
Yeah, that was like in the 80s. She was in one of the stars. It was like one of the spinoffs. So how did you end up meeting Ron Russell and Jimmy Starr being part of World Star PR?
Well, that's a very interesting story. I had written a book called Precious Little Devils, and the same publicist that happened to be Adam Ant's publicist. I did her a lot of favors, obviously, because I wanted to interview Adam Ant, but she did me something new, and she had me on. She knew Jimmy and Ron. She had me on this show. We became instant friends. They used to live in Pennsylvania, and the next week the following week, for the week that I was on the show, they actually came here. They came to Fire Island with us, and we became huge friends right away and stayed friends. And then Jimmy had a show, and I was writing, and neither one of us were getting paid for what we do, because writers don't make money, and neither do podcast people, unless they have lots of sponsors, which they don't.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you know. So we decided, since we had more connections than anybody, that we would just try and open a PR company. So we did, and it was like super successful. We surprised ourselves. But the thing is, I'm a journalist, so there's never a time when our clients aren't written about, and Jimmy can write too. He's a great writer as well. So he does all the press releases and has people on his show. And we have lots of radio shows and people like you who are kind enough to interview our clients.
Yeah.
And so I love it. We love it. Jimmy and I, matter of fact, I think Jimmy and I single-handedly made this virus, because we used to say, if someone would lock us in the house for 48 hours and tell us all we had to do was work, we would be so happy. So I think, like, mentally we created this virus. But in any case, that's how I met them. And, of course, we stayed friends. And then they moved out to Palm Springs. And I did go out to Palm Springs in LA pretty often.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because it's Ron's 80th birthday on May 28th.
Oh, so it's coming up. Yeah.
Coming up. So if you remember,
Ron,
happy birthday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Ron must have found the fountain of youth, because that wouldn't have to talk to
He
you.
looks great, right?
Because I like your guys, the energy that you guys, like I said, the energy you guys have, the network, just great energy and great people to be around. And I like to say, it's like meeting you, Jimmy, and Ron. It's one of those moments, in your life. It's one of those defining life moments, right? And we had this wonderful time at the Oscar Gala, and then, but
and it's something both of us will always remember, and because of it, we'll probably always be friends, which is really cool. Like, how many times does that happen in life?
Yeah.
You were a great interviewer. You were great. I mean, people really loved you. I have to say that. Even Su Wang loved you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what advice would you say? Because we hit on some key points as far as writing, and your story kind of reminds me of that movie Almost Famous.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah. Like, what advice would you give somebody that looks at Eileen and follows her rock star journey and wants to become a journalist and do PR? Like, what advice would you give them going into this industry?
Really simple. Writing is not a talent. It's a learned thing. The more you write, the more you practice, the better you get. You don't have to even know how to spell. I don't know how to spell. All you have to do is want to do it. People can do pretty much anything they want to do if they have that mindset. I always tell people, just do it. Try it. See if you like it. And writing, like I said, it's learned. It's a learned art. Some people say, oh my God, you're such a good writer. Well, I probably wasn't always. The more you write, the better you get. You learn more words, you learn more styles. And it just gets to be more fun, and it gets easier and easier. Just like a singer, needs to learn how to sing, or someone that plays an instrument has to practice and practice. That's what writing is. Practice and practice.
Yeah. And it's very important to have, like, the coverage of, so we were actually at the Su Wang event, and then actually afterwards, the write-up that you and the team did, I was like, wow, it was perfect. It was a magical moment, right? I was like, perfectly.
Well, we thought you were great, and Gary, and you guys were like right on. You were right there, and everyone. Yeah. You had a huge line, huge.
Yeah.
You carpet last an hour or two. You guys were there for the entire time, And I think Sue Wong even came out after the event was over, and for an interview, and the red carpet was still there, and you were still there. Nobody is that dedicated, so that was great. Thank you for that.
It was funny because we were there, and I was like, I need to get a drink. So I went to the bathroom, got a drink, went to the bathroom, came back. It was just those line of people. And then even now, like Mike Ferguson, we're still in contact with a lot of those people. And Gary did a phenomenal job because I mean, it was our first time doing this. And I'm like, all right, we got to get the interviews on point. And then Gary, coming from a film background, was like, look, we got to make this look, all of this come together. And he did a
phenomenal. I didn't know it was your first time, though. That's pretty good for a first time. That's really good for a first time. Red carpets aren't easy. They're not, because you're crowded, you don't have much time, it's noisy, and you have to know, and you have to know what the person does and think about what to ask them, and that's not easy. And you can't ask them all the same questions, so you have to really think on your feet. And I think that totally, it was beautiful, amazing.
So much going on. You like, it's like bam, 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 bam.
When this is over, any red carpet that I'm involved in, I am going to bring you along.
Oh, I'll be more than happy. More than happy, yeah. Wow. So Eileen, thank you for coming out and being on Deeper Than Music. What are you doing?
It was great.
What are you doing to stay sane? Because like you're in New York. New York is like, it's New York, California. And I just know, like, I have friends in New York, and I just pray for them every day because I know out of this whole pandemic, New York is like.
Yeah, what do I do to stay sane? You're assuming that I am sane. People in New York, I don't know. I'm not in the city. Mm-hmm. I live in a Long Island suburb. Even that we have like 50,000 ourselves. So. What do I do? You know what? I'm working. I'm busier than ever. You have to feel that too, because the only read.
Yeah.
And my clients, are depending on me to keep them relevant. So I'm busy, really busy, like every minute, like sometimes till 3 a.m. So, like I said, I was never sane to begin with, so I'm not going to stop.
Yeah. I like how you I owned a bar. I went from that to okay, right? And you're like, hey, why don't you let me interview and do the write-ups? That's pretty awesome. And I'm pretty sure owning a bar, you saw a lot of stuff.
It was kind of cool because it was a gay bar, and I owned it with my partner Calum, who lives with me, and I was always, for some reason, accepted in the gay community, even though I wasn't gay. But I was always accepted. I don't know. I was like a gay magnet wherever I went, and to me, that's like the most fun community there is, anyway.
Yeah.
So I owned the bar, and I saw things you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe, and I don't think I would tell. What happened in the bar stays in the bar. One of those kind of things.
Yeah. No, you have this energy, you, Jimmy, you all it's like the Wonder Twins. You guys have this magnetic energy. I remember we never met before, in person. And then the minute I walked, bam, Eileen. And then later on, Ron and Jimmy come in. It's the energy, and everybody is the molecules in the room change, and everybody would gravitate to you all. So it's awesome, and it makes sense. I could see why people gravitate to you.
They do. But you know what? Because I'm a people person. Ron is certainly a people person, and Jimmy is too. So what happens is when you have that kind of vibe, you bring forth that vibe to yourself. So it's not really a secret. It just is. Is. People see you're happy and having fun, and they want to be happy and having fun. So we smile, they smile. Simple.
Yeah, that's true. And so when you actually got to meet and have the interview with Adam, what was the highlight of that interview? Or memorable?
I got to meet Adam before I had the interview. I did the interview over the phone.
Oh yeah.
So I remember like a half an hour, I was watching the clock. I had like 6 microphones prepared, and just in case one went wrong. And
Yeah.
I had his phone number. They gave me his phone number. So just the fact that I had his own phone number, I was just like, oh my God. I was here and he was in England. So sometimes the phones don't exactly work. So I was a little nervous about that too. But once he was nervous too. That's the cool thing. He was totally nervous. He was stuttering and everything. I loved it. He kept like changing his answers, and he was like a big fan of Marvin Gaye. And he was on 25 Years of Motown. He was on that television show.
Right. When Michael Jackson did the moonwalk.
Yes. Correct.
He was wearing like it was kind of like Prince and the Revolutionary-ish.
Yes.
And he did Diana Ross's. Okay, I remember that.
Tainted Love he did. And Diana Ross came on and danced while he was on, and he didn't know. And he said he heard like the audience go crazy. And he was on after Michael Jackson, so he was nervous about that. And hold on. And he was nervous about that. And then he turned around and there was Diana Ross. And he went to dance with her or whatever it was. But I was nervous. I was very nervous. And he was just as nervous. He was just as nervous. He was answering the questions, but he kept changing them. And then when I was finished, he said, "Oh, this is a very telling interview. I really had a good time." And he said, "And later I'll be able to think of, I know I'll be able to think of the better answers." And then I said, I was teasing him. I said, "Well, you could just call me back." And then he started answering the questions again. The same question. One was about Marvin Gaye. And he loved him. That was his hero. And he told me a story about Marvin Gaye, how Marvin Gaye knocked on his door to introduce himself. And he said he remembered he was wearing a white suit and a white tie. And he knocked on his door and he introduced, he said, "Hello, this is Marvin Gaye. I'm Marvin Gaye." And Adam he said he just looked at him and said, "I know who you are." So like even these big celebrities become fangirls or fanboys, which is really kind of cool. So I was nervous, but after speaking to him for about 10 minutes, I calmed down. And by the end, we were laughing and joking. And then when I met him again, I actually met him again in his dressing room that same year. Maybe this year. Yeah, that same year. A couple of months later, I met him in his dressing room. And we were doing like another part of an interview. And I did all his reviews for the shows. So I met him in his, and he actually kissed me right here on my lips, right here. And that was like I was like a regular person, like I was like, and his PR person, I couldn't even remember what he said to me. And I said, "What did Adam say? And she said, "I didn't hear him because I was watching him making out. I was watching you making out with my client." So that, that was all kind of cool too.
Wow. And then there's another person you actually got to meet. And I think I used to love Behind the Music. And I think that group had one of the best interviews because of the tension within the band. And I just remember being a child of the 80s. And I was a huge fan of Boy George and the Culture Club. How was Boy George?
Boy George was another strange kind of thing. He did a concert in Forest Hills Stadium, which is a big, huge stadium. And he was doing it with the B-52s and the Thompson twins.
Oh, wow.
I had interviewed the Thompson twins, and my photographer, Billy, that I think you met too, he went to Sue Wong's gala with his husband. And we went to the stadium, and he had backstage passes from Fred because he was friends with him, and I had backstage passes from Tom Bailey. So together we got to go backstage and see. We kind of met Boy George, but he went into his dressing room, and then we met his manager and manager PK. And PK said, I'll tell you what, I will get you an interview with Boy George if you write the best review that you ever wrote in your whole entire life. So I went home and I wrote the best review that I ever wrote in my whole entire life. And he called me the next day and he goes, all right, now you're Boy George's favorite journalist. So I got to interview him, but I also got to write the bio for his first album in 19 years. So that was like a big honor.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And he's very brilliant, very kind, very funny, and very talkative. We were on the phone for over an hour.
Yeah, because I remember behind the music, the tension between the love affair between him and the drummer, and I always thought they were ahead of their time in the '80s, and
totally, and the drummer was cool too. The drummer and the bass player, but the drummer was really nice, really nice guy, and he remembered Billy from something, and I don't even want to know where he remembered Billy from, and neither does Billy.
Probably from some wild party, huh?
I'm sure.
And
then I became friends through Billy with Fred from B-52s, and he's amazing. He's an amazing person. Great interview, a lot of fun. And I have the best clients in the world. I have Scott Page from Pink Floyd, Mickey Burns from Profiles, Sherry Nelson, who you met, she's a beautiful model, and the FMs and Revolution, and oh my God, I better think of Wendy. I better think of all of them now that I started. Wendy, and we actually rep they're brilliant. They're just brilliant. They're called Chatter 365, and they have this new COVID virus. They write apps. Who writes apps?
Okay.
And then my newest one is Howard Bloom. He was the biggest publicist in life. He interviewed. He represented Michael Jackson and Prince and Bette Midler and almost anyone that you can think of. Yeah. So, and he hired us. So I was like really honored by that. I thought that was really cool. And I have great clients and I have a great life, except for this virus. But
everything. So my next question was like, so when we get back to normalcy, what can we expect from Eileen Shapiro, World Star PR? Like, when things start?
Lots and lots of red carpets, and Soho Johnny and Scott Page are doing this huge project that is going to happen the night before Thanksgiving. And my two favorite clients in life. I did not say that either, but they know it. And so you can actually expect you could expect to go to many more red carpets. And hopefully all our clients, get out there, because a lot of them are musicians, and I hope they all get out there and continue with their creativity. A lot of them are doing very creative things right now. I have the band Revolution with the drummer is Dave Kendrick from Devo, and the front man, we call him No, has played with everyone from Aretha Franklin to No Doubt, and they're all getting super creative. They're doing things that they never would have done if they weren't like locked up and forced to do it. So that's kind of cool too. So I think people are going to see a lot of creativity, a lot of different ways to see shows. And I think people are also, because of this, getting more human. They're actually like nice to each other. They wave to each other, hi, from a distance, but they're still doing that. They're still waving and saying hello. So I think a lot of, it isn't all bad. I think a lot of cool things will happen because of this.
Yeah, and I think I always think there's going to be some great albums that come out of this, because people now have time to create and innovate, and just you have time, right? We have time. We're here.
So I'm elastic now.
Yeah.
Elastic.
Yeah.
But
Eileen, thank you for coming out. And where can people find you on social media, World Star PR? It's self-promotion time.
All right. So on Instagram, I'm Eileen Shapiro 3. Same on Twitter and on Facebook. Just look for Eileen Shapiro and you'll find me. And I have a website with all my interviews, which is eileenshapiro.rocks, I think.
Rocks for Rockstar.
There you go. And if you want to know World Star PRs, you got to ask Jimmy because I have no clue.
I'll post it on this interview.
There you go. Well, thank you so much. You're great as always. Energetic and fun and great. My favorite interviewer in life.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm honored. So ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. Another great interview with Eileen Shapiro here on Deeper Than Music.